Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bensalem Township Council meeting. Tonight's subject will be the mayor's proposed 2025 budget. Today's date is December 2nd, 2024. And I'm going to ask that if we please rise for a moment of silent meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to introduce you to all of us that are sitting up at the dais so we know who we are. And as the directors come up, they will introduce themselves as well as I will do the same. And from this point, I'd like to introduce Debbie McBreen, our Township Executive Secretary for Council. We have Joe Pizer sitting next to me as our solicitor. Going to the extreme right, we have Bill Samari, Director of Administration. And we have the Deputy Director of Administration, John Chikowski. We have the Honorable Mayor Joseph DiGirolamo. Council members attending this evening, we have Joe Knowles, Stacy Champion, I'm Councilman Ed Kisselback, and we have on a Zoom call, we have Michelle Benitez. And so it should be exciting. I did that one year, and it was at least participating in the budget meeting. So it's very fine that you could be here this evening. Unfortunately, Mr. Joe Polari is not feeling well, so he will not be here this evening. I'd like to begin by having the mayor have an opportunity to present himself and just give us an overview of what you'd like to say this evening.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. You certainly have a budget message from me. It's 8 pages. I don't expect to read it into the record, but I like to enter it into the record. This is my 32nd budget working with the council all these years. A great team. We've done a tremendous job in Bensalem Township, and I think as you go through this budget, you'll also see how fiscally responsible we have been, and we continue to do that. And we look for a great year coming up. There's no tax raise in this budget, and I think as you go through the budget, you'll all be pleased, and your questions I think we can answer. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. President.
Okay, so you said, Mr. Mayor, that there is no tax increase in this budget?
No tax increase.
No tax increase. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the budget as proposed.
I'll make a motion.
Stacy's looking at me. What are you doing? It's a joke.
I know it's a joke.
Okay.
I think I heard she made a motion.
Michelle.
Okay. And Mr. Polari seconded it, so we're ready to go. Okay, I'm going to introduce, we're going to a little bit, we have an introduction from the agenda, but I'm going to change it just a little bit. I'm going to ask our Director of Administration, Deputy Director of Administration to come up. John Chikowski, you can stay right at your chair and do it that way. It'd be a lot easier to do it. And he's going to, number one, explain 2 things to begin with. Number one, we're considering taking a loan out, similar to that we had done before, where the township, we will actually pay ourselves back. We'll take the loan from the trust fund, and we've been very successful doing that and been right on time, and so it's been something that has been an example for, I guess, all townships to consider. And John, I want you to, if you'd be kind enough, to go through the process of the amount of loan, the possibility of the grant, and what it's going to be used for. So
sure.
You got the floor at this time.
Thank you very much. So as all of you know, we've been doing a lot of work at the country club, Bensalem Township Country Club, the past year and a half, and to the historic mansion building that is on the course. It is a 1700 century mansion, farmhouse mansion that the township didn't want to lose. So in 2024, we did a major exterior renovation to the roof, to the outside of the building, extended the existing patio where a lot of weddings are held on the outside in the gazebo area. And we met with some architects, some business models, and came up with the idea of renovating the inside of the mansion for the 2025 budget. The inside of the mansion will be renovated to be, it can be used for two purposes. One, it could be a pre-cocktail party of a wedding, or it will also work as a bistro restaurant type of setting as well. So that's the intended business model for the mansion once the inside is renovated. The township is, as we have in the past, requesting from council to borrow $4.5 million, up to $4.5 million from the trust fund. Now, I say up to, and that's due to there is a pending grant that the township was awarded a number of years back, a RACP grant through the state. And what the township has petitioned the state to allow us to reallocate the existing approved grant funds to be able to be moved to the golf course. If that process is approved, and we're waiting any day now on that decision, we will only need roughly $2.4 million. We'll need 2.25 because it's a 50% match on the grant. So we'll have to spend $4.5 million on the golf course. $2,250,000 will come back from the state, and then we'll spend $2,250,000.
We don't have to spend it all. We don't know what the prices are going to be.
Correct. So if we get the grant, the intended uses of the grant money will be the following. The renovations of the interior mansion, that is currently out to bid. It is being bid on by the four primes, your general, your electrical, your plumbing, and your mechanical contractors. That bid opening is being held on Monday, December 9th. At that point, we will know what the interior renovation cost will be. The purchase of the kitchen equipment for the new mansion, that is estimated at around $40,000. As many of you know, we have had a number of issues with our hole number 11 on the golf course. We have people that when they hit the ball, they wind up on Humeville Road. I'm guilty as one of them.
My son got a hole-in-one on that, his very first time golfing.
That's impressive.
I believe it.
So what we're looking to do is redesign hole 11, basically shifting the green away from Humeville Road, so the golfers are hitting more into the golf course itself as opposed to running along Humeville Road. That renovation also will realign hole 18, just because of the movement of the green. The tee box has to be moved. We have done significant cart path repaving. However, there's still a significant amount of cart path that need to be repaved there, so that would be utilized with this grant. And then finally, as we have in previous years, this would be not through the grant, but the golf course has requested, the superintendent of the golf course has requested a number of pieces of machinery to be replaced within the golf maintenance end, lawnmowers, a grinder for the blades sharpening and as such.
Let me interject something at this point. Everything you've mentioned would be basically $1.7 million, approximately.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Yes. So when we were developing the budget, we looked at different options of whether we borrow externally, and then we came with the best decision, as we have in the past, is let's borrow from ourselves, pay ourselves back the interest. The trust fund is currently, based on the investment level, is generating about 2% interest a year. So we're figuring that we will, for the equipment, we're going to pay it back in 5 years. That will be paid back at a 4% interest rate. And the borrowing for the mansion and the whole realignment and everything else will be at a 3% interest rate and will be paid back over 30 years, as most borrowing. 20? I thought we had said 20. Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, I was thinking it was 20.
You're right, I'm sorry, it is 20 years.
Okay.
20 years, it would be a repayment of over 20 years. And the intention would be the golf course, once the mansion is completed, business is booming over there. The golf course will be making those annual debt payments back to the trust fund.
And mentioned in there, we paid the trust fund.
Yes. So historically, you have authorized the township to borrow $7.4 million out of the trust fund. We use those monies for the purchase of the trifecta property on Bristol Road, which is now First Responders Field. And to date, through 2024, we have repaid $5 million of that 7.4. So in a couple more years, we'll have repaid with interest the 7.4 that you had authorized over the years.
So what's the total balance of the trust fund?
At the end of, if you approve the authorization of the transfer, at the end of 2025, we will be at $44 million.
Great.
I think it's important that this is going to come out of the golf course.
Correct.
This is,
No, I know, it's just nice to,
Yes,
it's nice that we have and that we're repaying ourselves.
correct.
I think it's much better than giving the bond companies money, and we're paying ourselves interest. It's always like, so I just wanted people to know that we have a healthy balance in there.
We do.
And that we have not used it consistently to borrow, that we've been, what's that word, expeditious or cognizant of
Yes.
our fiduciary responsibilities
Correct.
over the last 30 years.
Correct.
Okay. Michelle, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think I'm in good shape. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Is this, anytime you want to hop in, just turn your microphone on, you be part of the action. All right, from this point, that basically concludes the presentation of what we're intending to do with the loan. It gets a little complicated, but it's really not that difficult to figure it out. If we get grant money, it will be half the amount of money we have to borrow. We were paying ourselves, so we were borrowing from ourselves and paying ourselves interest, which we have done since 2016. And as you can see from the record, as John had just mentioned, with a $7 million loan, we paid 5 of that back in an 8-year period. So we're doing real well with that. And I think that's a great way
Yeah,
of
Mr.
doing
President,
it.
I wanted to mention, too, that besides no tax increase, we're also keeping the $300 rebate still in the budget. So the $300 rebate grant for each resident is still in the budget also, which that allows us to do.
the important thing is that's $4.5 million.
I do have
Before I
one
bring it in.
quick question.
Go ahead,
You know,
Michelle.
the grant funds were already awarded, but we're reallocating. What were we originally getting the grant for?
So originally, the grant was approved for the Renaissance Boulevard down on State Road to run behind a lot of the industrial properties down there. But
It fell apart.
Okay, that's very succinct. Thank you, John.
perfect.
Okay, and what, with that, are we fairly confident that we would be able to reallocate the funds for such a project? Does it line up with the original grant in some ways? How does that look?
So we have spoken with the consultant that has been positioned through the state. He's been assigned through the state. Between the redevelopment authority, which is assisting us with the reallocation, and the consultant, there doesn't seem to be a reason why it shouldn't be approved. It's just waiting for Harrisburg to put their stamp on it.
Thank you.
Okay, John, that completes your presentation. At this juncture, is that correct, on that particular item?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I'd like to, John, I want to give John the floor continuing also, but I'd like to go through our budget that we have in front of us, which is basically, we have all funds recapped. Is there any questions from the council members on the recap? We're going to go through them individually, and then if not, we're going to go to the general fund, John, which would be page number 5. I
Okay.
have it somewhere here.
Yeah, page number 5 is the budget recap for general fund.
Okay, right. Is there any questions on that? That's on page 5, and that's the township budget recap on the general fund, as John had just mentioned. The only question I had is on the public works. We're going from a projected $3 million to a little over $4 million. And I guess when that comes up, we'll have,
Yeah.
Tim, you'll explain it? Do you want to just?
Yeah,
let him
when
do it?
Tim comes up, we'll go through
Okay,
it.
fine, that's the only question I had. All right, and then we have, you explained the loan already, general fund. Okay, why don't we go through number 7, which would be administration. Now we're into the budget itself, will be page number 7.
Yep. So
And 8, that would be administration. And Mr. Mayor, if you want to hop in there on this one too, you certainly are welcome to.
I have a question on page 6, general fund revenue.
Okay.
It's an easy one, I'm sure. I think I already know the answer. For casino line item, 01406,
Is it the
35508.
Okay.
You have the actual of 5 million received to date. Is that a semi-annual payment that we get?
It's a quarterly
And it-
payment. It's a quarterly payment, and through October 30, that we hadn't received the third quarter yet, but we have received it since then. So
Okay,
it's a
so
quarter.
that's been updated, and then by December 31st, we would receive the full compensation of 10
Correct.
million? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, John, you want to just touch base on the administration
Sure.
costs,
So
page 7 and 8?
page 7 and 8. Page 7 is the administration budget. It is a relatively similar budget to what it was proposed in 2024. There are minor increases, two reasons. One, in the salaries and benefits, as always, our health insurance costs, workers' comp costs, pension costs, they all increase from year to year. And there is a slight increase in our property insurance from 24 to 25, but overall, it's a very similar budget to what was proposed in 2024 for the administration. And then, if you're okay, I'm going to move to the finance, which is
Well,
on
I'm going to
page.
ask, well, before we go any
Sure,
further, is there
go
any
ahead.
questions from the council on that, on those items? All right, John, continue,
Sure.
please.
Page 8, which is the finance department. Again, same scenario, very similar budget. 3 minor increases in the 25 budget. One being for our professional services, that's for paying for our payroll, our outside payroll service. There's a slight increase, as there is each year with the service that we use. And then our auditing service fees, we added a little bit extra just because we have, with utilizing a lot of the ARPA funds in 2024, that will certainly trigger a single audit, which is a federal single audit that we will have to do. With the drainage funds, the ARPA funds were a federal grant, so we increased the auditing fees just slightly, just in case there's any additional hours that are needed to finalize that project. And then lastly, again, and you'll see this across the board, property insurance, it went up. So we prorate the property insurance across each department for their share of the property insurance cost.
Okay, John,
Can I ask one question?
absolutely.
So one of the things you're talking about, auditing services, so I don't hit this again. I see that in some other departments, we do have auditing service charges. So you allocate that out, or are they a different type of audit?
No, so we do allocate the auditing services to the country club, because obviously they have their own set of books.
Yes.
So they pay a portion of the auditing fees as well. And then we do budget auditing fees in our federal forfeitures, because again, they're a federal,
So that's why there's the 25,000, I think it was, in the police side.
Correct.
And that's for the forfeitures.
the federal forfeitures. And then lastly, in community spirit, you'll see auditing services. That's because some of the grants will require a closeout audit of the monies at the time that we finish out the grant.
John? Well, as we learned in the past, the different departments' estimates, we estimate not because we're on the higher end of things, so you explained to me, and John was gracious enough to take a phone call from me today, and I asked him a bunch of questions about the general fund and such, but, and John has the ability to explain it in almost layman terms. But You had said last year that under the general fund, like the operating income, there was an extra $5 million that stayed in that account. Okay?
Correct.
And that started us off good. So
Yes.
even though we had estimated a little bit higher for this year, we anticipate that we might have another $7 or $8 million that would go to the other account.
Correct.
And I know the mayor has emphasized in the past, we do that in every budget, you know?
Yes.
So if we give money to the public works, if they don't spend it, it stays in their budget for next year.
Yeah,
It's fine.
so as always, and I'll say it again, we budget for worst-case scenario, we budget conservatively on revenue, but all the department heads, when they step up, they'd be certainly able to answer the same statement is, we don't spend to spend, we return what we can, and the mayor and council provide the budget to be able to provide the services that we need for our residents. And if we have extra money at the end of the year, we return it back to be able to fund next year's budget.
Okay, Michelle, you have any questions at this point? You're good, okay, here we go. All right, I'm going to conclude your portion at this time. I'm going to bring you back a little bit further as we get to different accounts, okay?
No problem.
Mr. Mayor, you want to add anything at this point? You're good?
I'm perfect.
You are perfect, okay, fine. Okay, that's not what Mary says. Okay. At this point, we're going to go to our police department, or if our Director of Public Safety, Bill McVeigh. I'm going to ask him to join him would be the Deputy Director, Bob Race. And then when we get to the fire department, I'm going to ask our Fire Chief, Mark Antozeski, to come up with him at that time. Not at this point, but in a minute or two, okay, when he's ready for that. But you have the floor, William.
President, before you start,
Okay.
say something?
You want to say something?
Tell you how clean we are. It's freezing in here.
Well,
We're saving money.
that's because of your budget. That's because of your budget, you know. You want to borrow an extra $1 million, we can figure it out.
I'm sorry.
I'm comfortable.
The police department budget can be found on page 12 of the budget.
We have page 12, and we're going to, public safety, and I guess I'll have you make a presentation, and we'll have to ask questions from there, okay?
Thank you,
Director McVeigh?
Councilman. Appreciate that. I would also ask Lieutenant Shum to come up, if you don't mind.
No.
He actually prepares the budget. Come on up, Lieutenant. He does it all year long, and he's basically the eyes for me within the organization to make sure that we stay tight to what we have budgeted.
All right.
But Council President and all council, thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for the support you've given us. Thank you, Mayor, and all of our administrative personnel that are here. I know a lot of times the police are what's out in the news or what the public sees, but it's as the mayor says, it's the team of everyone and the support you provide that lets us do the job we do.
Before you go any further, Lieutenant Shum, come up. Stand on the other side of the Director McVeigh, so we have two bookends there. How's that?
I feel protected now, thank you.
There you go.
But I think it'd be important to note, for the public to know, that we are fully staffed. We have 107 police officers. Right now, we're at 106. That's the best we've been in many years. And we held a spot right now because the next person to be hired is a veteran who is deployed right now. So we're waiting for him to be returned home so we can get to our 107, which will be the first time under my tenure we've hit that. It's important to note that we've maintained our state accreditation through PLEAC and our international accreditation through CALIA, who was just here doing their on-site assessment, which we receive very high praise for as a municipality. And I think it's important that everyone know in the public that what sets Bensalem apart from many other municipalities is our technological advancements. The intersection cameras, the school district cameras, the business cameras, the license plate readers, all these technologies that you have approved in our budget annually are keeping Bensalem safer. So thank you for that support. And lastly, Bensalem, in the end of '23, was recognized at the International Association of Chiefs of Police as a premier agency, and this year by the NAACP received special recognition for the work we do in the community and our leadership in maintaining a diverse workforce. So I just wanted that to be known to the public. That can't be done without all of your support and the men and women that work with me every day to get this done. So we're very thankful for everything you do for us. And my budget is very similar to that of last year, as you've seen. At this time, I will be here to answer any questions you may have pertaining to that.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the council, any questions? Stace?
Do you have an anticipation that there's going to be openings from retirements and such, I don't know, I mean, you're full at 107, when do you expect to be having to recoup a couple?
We have a detective scheduled to retire in January, and then I believe the next retirement isn't scheduled till 2026. That's all anticipated through the drop program.
Yes, I was gonna say.
So we have a little bit of time, then we're going to have a decent amount of officers who got hired around my generation of time that'll be leaving within the next 5 years. So we're preparing for that now.
Okay, good.
Okay, Stacy, I see you pressing your,
Yes, thank you. Overall, just some of the increases from your 24 to 25 budget, high level. I see, some increased expenses on salaries and benefits, which I'm assuming is where it all is just general overall anticipated contract increases and health insurance increases, as every industry is hit with that. Would that be a safe assumption there, John?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
how many officers have you increased from last year?
We didn't put any to increase. We
Okay.
leveled the amount of officers. We increased one last year for our narcotics division. The year before, we increased one for an additional school resource. But at this time, my budget is presented that we're level and it's adequate, the number of staff we have now.
Okay.
So last year, you were budgeted at that full impact, and now we're at the full impact of
Yes, we're
all
one
officers.
below, and that's only because the next, like I said, he's a
The next
veteran.
guy.
I don't
And
want
the
to
overall-
bypass him.
And the increase is just really due to natural
Attrition, yes,
attrition,
someone retiring.
regular raise increases and/or health insurance-related increases, just so people, when they say it, they understand it.
Bill, you're filled at the higher levels, like lieutenants and sergeants and stuff like that, right? So
Yes, we have the deputies administering a test tomorrow. Contractually, we have to keep list for sergeant and below, so they'll have a sergeant and detectives test. And in this upcoming year, we'll have a lieutenant's test given. We have one opening for lieutenant right now.
Okay, good.
So I just want to say that one of the things that I notice, and I say this to you guys constantly, as a parent of children who have gone to school in Bensalem, while not the public schools, Catholic schools, and my daughter now is in school in outside of Bensalem for high school. I just want to say the importance that you guys place on the safety of our kids with the school bus cameras and everything that you guys do with our kids on a daily basis. And when I talk about it with other people who are from outside of Bensalem and how you go into the schools to meet the kids and everything that you do, it truly is impressive to know that those small things make such a great impact on all of our children, and then everything that you do at the higher grade levels too, to ensure that they know that you're there as a friend and to help them and to keep them all safe. So some of them may not always appreciate that, but I can tell you that the bulk of us parents truly appreciate the differential between the care that you guys give our kids on a daily basis. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And the officer protecting us tonight was in the high school for about 10 years, so he was one that did a great job over there for us.
Okay. Michelle, any questions at this time?
No, just echo Stacy's comments. I mean, I've had the honor of working with many of you at the higher levels of the police department, and you guys do an incredible job. You represent our township with such integrity, and we take pride in what you do every day. So thank you for all that you do. Whatever you need from us, we're here for you. Thank you.
Mr. Knowles?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that you do a great job, and I think a lot of it, and not that, we make sure that the money's there, especially for the training, because you have to be trained properly, and you guys have the proper people in charge, and you make sure that the people are properly trained. It's not fair to put police officers in bad situations if they don't know what the right thing to do is, and then hold them accountable if they make a mistake, So I think we have a training system and money for that they're properly trained. So fortunately, God willing, in the future too, we haven't heard some of the things that go on across the country, and that's why you're so accredited like you are, and and you're doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And we do have a Lieutenant Bob Bush who oversees that along with the staff. And I don't think there's a more well-trained department in the counties surrounding this area than Bensalem. And we do take great pride in that. So thank you for the support there.
Did we catch the pig yet?
We have not. I see him on social media, but we have not. Although the mayor is trying to catch the pig as well. So he might get it first.
Okay, and I'm just going to comment that your budget was very easy to follow from year to year to year, and the only increases that I had seen was, as Stacy had mentioned just a moment ago, relative to the cost,
Contractual.
the contractual and insurance and things like that, that just is natural in terms of the percentage and such. So with that, how about if we go to the fire department, and you two gentlemen can sit down. I'm going to keep Mr. McVeigh up there.
Mr. Antizeski, I can now say that.
And the fire department budget can be found on page 13.
We're on page 13. Public safety and fire, okay.
If I may say something, Council President?
Absolutely.
Just to open, I would like to just point out that the budget is very similar to last year. There were some cuts in the budget, nothing bad, but we hired a chief last year. That was an increase, so that's level again. And we hired an additional firefighter last year, a full-time firefighter. After BVFD was formed, we reorganized, and so at this time, we feel we have adequate staff levels in the fire department. We have submitted for the SAFER grant. As you're aware, we were denied that this year. We did not get it, so the chief and I intention is to resubmit that because we do believe in the future it will be needed for the services of Bensalem Township, and we're waiting to hear that response in 2025, whether or not those funds are provided.
All right, could you briefly explain to us the transition from where we were last year with all volunteer firefighters, 6 companies, and now to the one universal Bensalem Fire Department?
I'll be very brief, and
Exactly.
I'm proud that we can say that now. It was a long road, as everyone is aware, but Bensalem had 6 legacy fire departments that did a tremendous job for this community for over 100 years with their tradition and their proven excellence in how they conduct a business. And over the past 2 years, we worked to formulate one Bensalem volunteer fire department that will function as one volunteer company. As part of that, we hired Chief Antizeski to lead the efforts of both our career staff, 222, who functions Monday through Friday during business hours, and also oversight of our volunteer fire department, who does the nights and weekends for us and also supplements us during business time. So the main point there is for Bensalem residents to know, if a truck shows up, it's one company. Doesn't matter where you live, they all work as one now, and that's something that Bensalem Township led the way on, as everyone is aware here, to approve it under the mayor with council's approval this past year. So we're one company under the Department of Public Safety, and we're very proud of that.
Okay, and how many full-time firefighters do we have?
Right now, we have 11 total firefighters.
Okay.
That includes Chief Antizeski, our Battalion Chief Sponheimer, and Lieutenant Altamar.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And that,
is
I'm
there
sorry,
any-
that includes 2 part-timers as well. It's 9 full-time and 2 part-time.
9 and 2.
9 and 2.
Okay, I
I
understand.
apologize.
All right, 9 and 2. 9 plus 2. All right, are there any questions from our council members?
Yeah, I'm assuming, Bill, that we did resolve the labor issue of our full-time people being volunteers, and that's all been worked out, right?
Yes, we did. That was the first main issue the chief had to work out. Did a great job. But what had happened is that our part-timers, they could no longer do both. They opted to serve in leadership roles in the volunteer fire department. That's what led us to come to the conclusion to hire a full-timer. We needed that manpower, and then 2 more part-timers, which have done a great job. So we've adjusted. We've made sure there's no conflict there or no overlap. And we're functioning well within the guidelines of the federal laws.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, that concludes that part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, now we'll move on to page 14, which will be building and planning. Ken Farrell would like to come up, please.
Good evening, Council President, council members, and Mayor. Budget is similar to last year's.
Pages.
14, Joe.
If there's any significant questions, I can certainly answer them. Similar to Director McVeigh, we are fully staffed, which is a good thing, and Yeah, this year, we'll do well over 5,000 permits, which is a significant amount for our small department. So we're moving along.
I will say, just to preface, you will notice his engineering services did increase from 24 to 25. In previous years, we used to spread the allocation of our engineering services in the administration department and public works because there was a more generalized usage of the engineers throughout the township. The engineering services primarily work out of with Ken's department doing inspections for the residents, not doing, obviously they do it, but for land development, that's billed to the developer directly. But there was a need to increase Ken's budget for the engineering services to more realistic numbers. Now, with the updated fee schedule, we did update the fee schedule to if you're putting in a pool or something that where the engineer needs to go out and do an inspection of your stakeout and then the actual pool itself, those fees are now built into the permit fees that were increased that you guys did in March of '24. So while, yes, we increased the expense, the revenues are going to help offset that increase as well. The revenues, they were increased in March of this year, so we don't have a full understanding as far as what we will be looking at for the coming years, or for 2025. We did increase it slightly, but we're hoping to exceed the number that we had budgeted in 2025 with permit revenue.
I understand. All right, thank you. Ken, could you give us a breakdown of your staff?
Well, currently, we have myself, we have 12 full-time employees, plus we have our 2 consultants, United, which does our electric, and our code, which does our residential and our commercial building inspection. And then we have the services of TPD that does our alteration of land and our some of our building permits and inspections, et cetera, as well as all the land development work from the developers.
Okay, sounds like a...
And Ken, you still believe that, I mean, we've gotten a newer system in over the years, so I mean, hopefully it's been more efficient, I think, as far as.
Absolutely, we're able to track stuff a lot better. And a lot of times, Ms. Davis will have questions, the mayor will have a question. Dawn can look it up right on the computer, and she can pull information without even having to contact our office, because all the information is resulted in one location, which helps us. Which before, it was in paper files, it was in the computer, it was in our database. Now we're trying to get everything in one location so you can quickly pull it up. And even if a person is out in the field doing an inspection, somebody else can pull it up and they can see what the answer is and be able to answer questions like that.
And you do still believe that the level of service we provide and the cost factor, that outsourcing some of these functions has been a good thing?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, are there any other questions from any council members?
One question, so you're just
Go
talking about the new program. Is that in the computer tech support and equipment line for that program?
We have it in there, yes, but it's our ongoing, it's our Munologic program that we pay for annually, and it's really a way that we capture all of our data and all of our permitting and all of our UNOs and everything.
Okay.
But there is a substantial increase from projected to budget.
Yeah.
So,
Part of that is to take some of the data, we have the database, our Alchemy. We would like to get that into the Munologic so we can look at one spot for all of our location.
okay, thank you.
And we've greatly increased our turnaround time then on permits for our residents and things, because I know that was something
Yes.
that, especially during COVID, but we
Yes.
continue to improve that, especially with the help of this Munologic program.
That is correct, yes, thank you.
Yes, very important. All right, Ken?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Michelle?
You don't have any kind of indication, any projections on what the results of the fee schedule change might be? I know you said we just changed it in March, but do we have any kind of data on that?
I don't think, we don't have a year yet into it, so it's a very tough thing. And it's also tough with building permits because you don't know, as permits come in, we could have one permit from a hotel that our permit fees could go up $200,000 because of one project. It's almost like a crapshoot trying to guess what's coming in, what's not coming in. If Parks ever does build their hotel, that's going to be a significant, it's not only significant permit fee, but a significant job with inspections and people and all that, and that's a tough thing to do. And that's one thing, John and I are going to meet once we have a year under our belt and look to see what the actual versus what we have had budgeted, and see if there's any additional changes we can make or should make.
I will say, in just looking at the existing budget, sorry, as Ken was doing his explanation, our apartment inspection fees, which is one of the fees that was increased relatively more to appropriate levels, through October, it basically doubled. It went from a budget of 195, and we're at an actual number of 366. Our application fees, they have basically doubled as well, 46,000 as a budget to 77,000 through October, and obviously that number will only climb through the end of this year. And then our plumbing permits and our, sorry, just want to make sure I'm giving the right number. Our plumbing permits and our electrical permits, again, those fees were increased as well. And again, a lot of that is always driven on what people are doing, right? So while it increased this year substantially, and as part of it is due to the fee schedule increase, but part of it is also due to permit submission. So that number is anything of the building permit, the electrical permit, or the plumbing permit, they're more of a, we have to wait to see what someone submits. Everything else are more annual fees, and we'll be able to get a better understanding in year 2025 where we stand and be able to budget in a more better fashion.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Not hearing any. We're going to move on to page, thank you very much, Ken.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to move on to page 15, which is Public Works. That'd be Director Tim Schultz.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to open up and answer the most important question of all. We are fully stocked with salt. We are at max capacity. We topped off in September with 2024 rates still cheaper than this year's, so we're at full capacity with salt.
Don't you wish you were up in the Great Lakes now?
Sorry, sir?
Don't you wish you were up in the Great Lakes?
No, not at all, not at all. I'd be happy to answer any questions on my budget if you ladies and gentlemen have any.
Okay, well, we have the figures in front of us, so is there any specific item that you would like to comment on or question, Mr. Schultz?
So of course, it looks like our staffing, our actual versus our budget, or for '24 that we project, we have a slight increase on there, so I'm assuming it's just normal contractual increases and related insurance. Are we fully staffed?
We currently, no, we are possibly one short.
Which consists of how many people doing what?
We're close to 24. We're about 16 drivers, one maintenance repairman does the building repairs, a sign foreman, 4 mechanics, and 2 office staff. And our part-time mechanic.
And obviously Tim.
And myself.
They pay you for that job?
And Tim, how you doing with the major equipment? Because you had like the actual on 23 was like 96,000, and then it says the actual for 24 was nothing. Okay, so I don't know what the reason for that is. Maybe you bought the stuff in 23, but and now we're at 45,000. So what? And I know major equipment, of course, costs the most. And I know we had discussed this before with some things that you were in need of. Can you pretty much tell us where you're at with that?
Yeah, so while Tim's looking up the expense for 2025, which is page 38, just so you know, Tim, the reason there was no major equipment purchase in 2024 is what Tim did purchase in major equipment, we were able to purchase under our road machinery tax millage rate. So we bought some trucks, we bought some things that are allowable purchases under that. So that's why we didn't have to take any money out of the general fund.
Okay, yeah, because I just remember discussing that we had
Sure.
a need there, you know,
Yep.
and I didn't know what happened.
And we are doing the same, and we can skip to that page in a second, but we are doing the same in 2025. We're utilizing that fund again to make some purchases that, out of that. The purchases that Tim's making, which I'll let him comment on because that's not my world. It will basically, it's nothing that we could be able to use any other type of fund for. So that's why we had to take it out of general fund.
Okay.
For major equipment this year, we're going to replace a backhoe. Our backhoe's getting old, it's tired, it's about 10 years old. Parts are getting increasingly difficult to obtain, so we're going to buy a new backhoe. It's a vital asset for public works.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
And also
yeah.
for storms, it's really big on storms, for clearing roads and everything else. We're also going to purchase a new international dump truck. It's replacing a 2001 international dump truck. We're going close to 24 years old on that. We get as much life as we can out of our trucks. This dump truck we're replacing, the 01, it's on a second body. We replaced 2 bodies on it, and salt never sleeps. It rusts the heck out of our equipment, and we're very good at maintaining it. And it is an 01, and we get as much longevity as we can. But it's seen better days, and it's time for replacement.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Not hearing any. We're going to go into page number, and I'm going to bring John back into these next several things. We have non-departmental, page 16.
Chris is done, right?
I'm sorry, yeah. He is done. He's
Thank you, Chris.
Tim.
Oh, Tim.
Tim.
Sorry, I'm thinking of his brother, I'm sorry.
So page 16 is our non-departmental. Is that where you wanted? Mr.
Yes.
Back? I'm sorry. In 2025, we are allocating or requesting an allocation of a transfer to our capital improvement fund in the amount of $3 million that will be utilized for road repaving and drainage work in 2025. While in 2023, we completed repaving all of our roads. Obviously, traffic never stops, so we do have another section that we have to repave in 2025. So that is a portion of the increase from, actually, it's the majority of the increase from 24 to 25.
Okay. Any questions regarding that particular general fund, non-departmental explanation? All right, and how if we go to, who would take streetlights?
I'll take care of streetlights.
Okay,
Tim,
that's
if I
on
have it-
page-
if I look like a deer in headlights, Tim will
That's
help
on
me.
17.
So streetlight fund is one of our tax millage funds. It is what it says. It's utilized to repair and maintain our streetlights in the township roads. It's a relatively same budget as it was in the previous years. I think the slight increase is due to property insurance, as every fund is. So we do have the, like I said, it is generated via tax revenue. So that is what we use that money for.
Okay, any questions on that? Pretty self-explanatory. How about if we go to page 18, fire company, I'm sorry, with this streetlights now, we're to fire company fund?
Yes.
That's also you.
Again, another tax millage fund. This is the money that will now be paid to the new fire company. Whatever money is collected is repaid directly to the volunteer fire company. They will be submitting a budget, if they haven't already, to the chief and to the director and deputy director, what their intended purchases will be for next year and the coming years.
I have a question. Since we're consolidating the 6 volunteer fire companies into one fire company, there's going to be a number of pieces of equipment that we no longer need to use. What's the arrangement on that for the fire companies and the selling of those? where does the money go?
Yep, so I'll let the fire chief take that one.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Our understanding is they've already approved to sell a few pieces within the volunteer fire companies. The money generated from those sales will go back to the fire company to pay off debt. They've already arranged within themselves to not spend that money on anything else. We don't have any control over how they do that, and the individual fire companies have not all fully merged into the new organization. So there's an agreement between the voted-in president for the Bensalem Volunteer Fire Department and the current presidents of the individual fire companies. So there are still in the process of being merged over into one organization. So that's the roundabout answer. They're going to sell some equipment. That money's going to go back into the individual fire companies' funds to pay down debt.
And if it's not paid down, does that debt become that of the township? Is that correct?
No, sir, become debt of the new volunteer organization.
Of the
It would not
new
be our
volunteer fire
organization.
company. So each individual company still has control of their equipment and not that they're going to purchase anymore, but the selling of that also. Is that?
That's
what you're
correct.
saying?
That's correct.
Okay.
Because they've gone through the process to be one new organization, which is now done. They've been recognized through the AG's office, et cetera. Now they are working on taking the one fire company at a time, dissolving them and merging them into the new organization. So it's one fire company at a time. It takes a process to go through that, and they're doing it now.
Do we have any guidance over that at all?
Verbal guidance, we've been working with the president and the vice president. Other than that, they have their own attorney that's handling that, and the consultant that helped with the merger is also assisting.
Okay. All right.
Anything else, sir?
No, that's what I want to know. What
Certainly.
was happening to those monies and how they're being distributed. Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So you mentioned that the funds are going back to the fire companies individually to pay off their debts. Do you know, has anything been assessed with the revenues that the sale of the equipment will bring in versus the debt that they have outstanding? And if the revenue out is higher than the debt, will that then be funded to BTFD?
From my understanding is that whatever the debt is will be for that individual fire company. The monies from this organization, from the township, is going to go to the new organization and not to the individual fire companies, with the intent of, as the volunteer fire companies are merged in, that money will already be with the main organization. So we're only going to make one payment to the new organization, not 6 payments to the original organizations. So if Company A sells a fire truck, that money will go into Company A's funds to pay off their debt for their volunteer fire company in anticipation on getting merged in with the new fire company. And that way, hopefully, there won't be debt going into the new organization. That's the intent.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, Chief.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much. Let's move on to, John, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Well, we'll move on to then the rescue squad.
Yep.
That would be you, John.
Yes. So the rescue squad is, again, tax
And
revenue
that's,
that...
excuse me, that's on
Page 19.
19?
So that is used, it is tax revenue that is collected on behalf of the rescue squad, and then those funds are transferred to the rescue squad for their operations. They are a private entity, so basically they oversee the usage of the funds, and they do work with the Director of Public Safety as part of the emergency management of the township.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions on that?
Yeah, my question would be, I don't know if Bill answers this or the fire chief, I'm not really sure. But my question is that in the new budget, I would assume that the increase in millage that was voted in is going to the rescue squad.
Correct.
And I'm assuming that that money is doing what we thought it would do, okay? Get a modernized ambulance and maintain the staff, qualified staff employees that we were getting outbid on.
Correct, yeah.
So how's that been, generally, has that been doing good?
Yeah, so the tax increase went into effect in 2024. So they received the additional revenue in 2024, and then I'll let Bill comment on the rest, but yes.
What you said is correct. The money that is being generated will be put towards mainly retainment. of their current staff and recruitment of new staff, and obviously keeping up with the latest and the best technologies in terms of advanced medicine, especially with the ambulances thing. So Director Topley communicates with myself and the Deputy Director regularly. We meet normally officially once a month to go over the status in the township with emergency services, and we're very confident that he's continuing to build a great organization over there to be responsive within the township.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. What had happened was the other companies were stealing our people because they were paying them a reasonably amount more, and so we had to at least match what they were projecting to offer them, and otherwise we were losing our really important people. So that's the major consideration at that point.
And they do a great job. I've had to use them a couple times this year. I will have to say that they were quite amazing with my son when he burned his hands, and I appreciate the attention, care, and everything they did for my father this year.
Good. Well, thank you for those comments. Thank you. All right, let's move on to page number 20, which is Parks and Rec. That's Director Kyle Pennypacker, page 20. You got that, Joe? Yes. Okay. Okay.
Evening, Mayor, Council.
Why are you spending all our money?
Do the best I can. We have a lot of improvements and a lot of repairs to be done. We were busy this past year, and we are going to be busy again for next year. We do have our major equipment that's going to be done. It's going to be Imagination Land. We have it slated to be completely replaced. It's a very expensive project, but it is a good cause, being handicap accessible along with special needs and a bunch of different sensory and a bunch of objects that will help with anybody that can have a safe space to play. This project, we've applied for a grant. We were hoping to get $250,000 to go towards it. We had such a strong application and a good plan that they gave us half of our budget. So we were getting just shy of $400,000 in grant money to go towards that, along with some other community money that we're going to be good and put towards. So we do not have to spend that full amount that has been budgeted. It was just put in there so we can match the funds. Besides that, we do have another grant that we're going in. We're trying to get some new lighting down at Yezi Field for one of our fields. We're looking to do softball there as well. Hopefully, if we can get the grant, that money is also slated for that grant. It may not go through depending on the funds that we get with that grant. But there are two major projects along with some surfacing of parking lots and other repair, along with general equipment that we have fading, benches and general park equipment to keep up that are either unsafe or need to be replaced soon after. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen?
What parks did you refurbish this year? I know you had quite a bit
This
on the
year,
24.
yes, we replaced Executive, which is down on Park Ave. That was a new playground, well, replacement of a playground that was very old. We were doing them in year order. We also replaced the clusters and the coves. So they were all replaced this past year.
And our pickleball court.
And yes, we added a pickleball court. We renovated one of our 3 tennis courts, and we were able to make 1 tennis court into 3 pickleball courts.
And I heard it is used
Yes, it is
very much.
active, yes.
It's something you may want to consider putting in your plan for
Yep.
different, I guess, tennis courts, which are not as popular as they used to be.
Yeah, we're working on dual purpose, so we can have both options, where we're not going to lose out as much tennis. We can do both lines and get nets that are going to be able to be used for both applications. We do have some temporary lines places where people can bring their own nets, because that is very popular in the sport as well, and that will kind of fill our gap in the meantime, that we can use existing surfaces with the lines needed.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if someone's using the pickle courts, do they have to be with a resident or be a resident so?
We don't have any policing of that. It is open to the public, the general public, as they deem fit. It's not a closed-off thing. It's just a fenced-in area that anybody does have access to.
Okay, and because of the funding, does it have to be open to all the general public, or you're not really sure?
Pickleball, yeah, that would be
Courts.
general. We don't usually have, that wasn't a grant money or anything. That was just out of our general thing. So it is not a closed-down object that we would have to charge for or have any kind of leagues or anything like that. It's just a general use activity.
I know we're doing lots at the country club at the mansion, as we spoke earlier. I see some expenses here on ground and mansion.
Yes.
Are we looking at that in the future, as that is
We
an
have done a lot this
extreme-
year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
we have
that'd be
done a lot
great.
this year.
That'd be great
I
to hear.
did take a hold on grout in this summer. We did a lot of work going into just the past few months. We have completely finished the first floor. It is fully renovated, ready to go. The second floor floors have just been done, and we have met with, they're completely renovated upstairs as well for the second floor. Met with the painters today, so they're actually being painted before the end of the year as well. So the second floor should be completely painted, floors done, and also ready to be accessed, done. The third floor is in the most disrepair. We had some water damage up in the roof that was replaced a while ago. Now we have to start working on removing the water damaged areas, doing some structural work up there, and we are doing the first phase of that. The 3 front rooms, we should actually begin before the end of the year as well, to rip out the existing plaster, do the work we need, and then get it safe so that we can start redoing the plaster work next year as we move forward. So that has been busy. We will be
I
looking.
think you've done some electrical work.
Yes, oh yeah, we've been constantly doing electrical. We actually are about to finish the last phase of electrical where everything will be completely done. So outlets and switches, replacing any of the old wiring that was there.
Okay, and what about the grounds itself on the exterior? Do we have plans in the future for that, to do anything there in terms of gardens or anything with Conservation District or anything? Well, any
Like just-
outside work?
just outside work.
Outside, because I know there's lots of woodlands there, but it'd be nice to see if there's a way we can partner with somebody from the state
Mm-hmm.
to make that into an area.
Why don't you bring us up to date on some of the things that have been happening? They've looked at the other building.
Oh, yeah, so we've had some people from the Mercer Museum come down, and we've been looking at the vault, and we've been looking at our existing buildings there, and that has a lot of history that's involved, and we should be, they took some really good pictures and be using an article. That vault is one of the last, the only last example of what we had in Bucks County for the Treasury. The one in Newtown was destroyed, so that building holds very significant historical significance.
Where is this you're talking? I'm sorry.
It's directly, so you have the main mansion, Groudon Mansion,
Right.
if you're looking at it, directly to the right was the kitchen.
Okay.
And then the next small building to the side was considered the vault, and it actually had treasury documents, deeds for properties and things like that. They actually had a little desk in there, and you can see the original structure of it and how it was built, and we had some historians in there looking at it. So we were looking at options for preservation and other grants too, possibly, to be able to work on that since there is such a historical significance, and it is a registered historical building.
When you are finished the ground mansion, is that going to be rented out to a family to have someone in there?
No, it's going to be the Historical Society. We work very close with them of keeping the historical significance and being able to possibly have events in the future where they'll be open to have people be able to see the inside and see the work done and learn a little bit out of the history, because it is such a historical building in Bensalem.
I remember seeing it as a child when my mother was on
Yeah.
the Historical Society when it first got it, so it's a
Yeah,
neat
we're working
building.
very closely with the Historical Society. I talk with them a lot and making sure that we're going in the right direction and getting them what they need so that they can actually have good tours and have things going. We'd like to get some kids in there and actually learn about the history and what the significance is for our town.
That's great.
Okay.
One more question. There's about, according to our letter and stuff, we have 1,400 maybe open space that, for
Yeah, it's
general open
everything,
space.
including,
And
we have
there's
about 350 recreational
300
space.
acres of park, ball fields and such.
Yep.
Does that count the golf course, I would assume?
It does not. The acreage does, but my recreational area that we consider does not include the golf course.
Right,
That's
doesn't
just
include the golf
baseball, soccer fields, things like that we use.
Right, and in general, how's the soccer field, I forget the different names of the responders.
First responders?
Yeah.
It is
the-
very, very nice. That was a large project that was finished up this fall. We're just diving into getting that started, so springtime will be a really first dive into a full rental of that facility. It is a for-rent facility, so it is going to be a profitable facility. We'll be charging for rental by the hour, lights, not lights, and hoping to have some tournaments and other organizations that will be there to utilize that
And
field.
our main field's pretty nice, right? I mean, I'm
It's
not a soccer person,
unbelievable,
but
yes.
they got
It is the
stands,
newest and
lights,
best.
Field, everything.
Fully lit, bleachers, brand-new artificial turf. It's the best that you can get. It's top
Yeah,
of
I
the
was there,
line.
yeah, but I don't,
So we have people
I don't know what that
emailing and
means.
calling every single week, getting ready to use that for spring. So we'll be very, very busy starting next year.
You sure will.
good.
Yes.
You sure will. Okay, Kyle, is there any other questions from the council members?
How's our summer program doing? Because I know it kind of took, with the COVID and everything, is that back on track where we have a summer program that kids are participating in again?
Yes, so we do the one program now. It's a full-day program, so we provide the program for kids that really need it. We used to do the half-days at all the schools, and they kept dwindling and getting smaller. But we run about 150 kids right now at Community Park, and it's all day long from about 8:30 to 4:30. And that's going very, very well. We've taken in everybody. We've been fortunate enough to get the employees we need to be able to cover the kids, but we have not turned anybody away. Anybody that's applied to be part of that program we've been able to take in.
That's great.
Yep, it's been going very, very well. Thanks to Sabrina. We have a good staff over there, and has a lot of experience running that program and does a great job for us.
Good.
Okay, if there's no other questions, Kyle, thank you so much for your
Thank you.
excellent presentation. Let's move on to page number 21, which will be the Bensalem Country Club. Joe, you're restricted from asking any questions on that. All right,
Good
Jim?
evening. How are you, sir?
This is Jim Bogan.
Director Goff, Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. President, I'm here to present our budget for 2025, page 21 and 22. Are there any questions?
So our greens fees are down?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
We're actually in front of our budget for 2024.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was comparing to 23.
Yeah,
So it looks
okay.
like we're down.
Yeah,
We're-
so what I do, so through October, we were already beating our budget,
Okay.
our budgeted figure. Obviously, I
Oh,
know.
that's the
green-
actual, never mind. You're
Yeah,
right,
and I
sorry.
know
missed
greens
that
fees
part.
will continue for the remainder of the year. I just don't know where to project it to. But I certainly think that we're going to hit our 23 number, if
Okay.
not exceed it.
Okay.
The banquet, actual year-over-year decrease, is that due to the temporary closure and renovation? I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah, so
Go ahead,
two
John.
things happened in '24. Obviously, we all know that the renovation happened in '24, so there was a 3-month or so closure within there. But there wasn't, through the turmoil of banquet managers and the turnover of the banquet managers over there, there was issues with future bookings. So we have a new banquet manager that we added late this year. We have a new executive chef who is dynamite over there. And we promoted one of the existing bartenders to become the bar manager. Between the three of them, and obviously with the help of Jim Bogan and Kelly Newhouse at the golf course itself, the banquet facility has certainly turned the corner. They are getting bookings on a daily basis. They're getting funerals. They are advertising. They are doing what we need to do to generate revenue and make that place be the shining star that it is right now. So the 2025 budget, you can see it's obviously down from 2024. That is based on existing bookings that we already have for 2025, as well as their anticipated funeral volume and any type of parties. That number can only grow based on additional bookings that come in that we may not know happen. Golf outings that are already booked are also included in that number. So we certainly have a different path and a different leadership over at the banquet end of the facility, and they are doing everything that they can to make the Owl's Nest, make the banquet facility as profitable as it can be, so that when the mansion's going, they will also be running that as well. And doing the best that we can.
And I'm sorry, I forget what you said about how long you expect once we get the bids through and everything for the mansion. How long do you think that may be in terms of the work?
Well-
A year, 2 years, or?
No, so if we well, obviously we'll know the price on Monday, right? So that'll be one thing. We'll need about a week or two for the architect to go through the documents to make sure that everything's been addressed appropriately. The intention is January, whatever, we will be starting work. As soon as the contractor can start working there, we will start working in there.
So 6-month timeframe?
I would say
By fall?
Yes.
Okay.
Jim,
Optimistic.
golf, this is golf social membership fee. What is the golf membership?
The
Social.
BGA Golf Association.
That's that, okay, that's
Yes.
association, I wasn't sure,
Yes.
okay.
Do you have a junior one?
No. We have junior rates, and we do run junior programs, but we do not have a
Yes, you're part of, what is that program called?
first tee or?
First
Yeah,
tee.
first tee.
Thank you.
We hold that.
We have First Tee, we have the BGA, which is pretty strong, right? It seemed like
And
our
our,
membership was pretty
our
good.
staff in-house does quite a few junior projects.
And you do a remarkable job with our
The
veterans
veterans.
Yeah, with the
also.
veterans, with
Yes,
Johnny C.
yes.
It's a tremendous job.
Yes.
When you look at the numbers of income, Goff took a nick too early in the year because of the projects we had going on in the spring. And we lost some of our revenue in that early March, April. And this year, I think we'll be fully operational if we get number 11 turned in enough time, which I think we will. Golf and banquet, I'm confident will bring in quite a bit of money this year coming.
And the new bridges that were put in
Yes.
'23
Yes, that
look
affected us
amazing.
too. Yes.
And then all of the armoring of the creek that will actually help stabilize a lot. And I
Exactly.
believe, did I hear that we got trees from
Yeah.
front of the mansion also? That were able to,
More like bushes.
Yeah.
bushes to help again with the stabilization of the creek?
Correct, yeah, the Conservation
I
District,
called it
we
creek,
were,
I don't call it creek.
the Conservation District was awarded a grant, and then in turn, they passed to purchase plantings along the stream banks as well as in front of the mansion and on the other side of the mansion to help slow down water that will hit into the actual creek itself.
I think, Jim, it seems like we have a pretty good team coming together between the executive chef, which is good to have somebody that can actually do
Absolutely.
it.
You can see a difference in the last quarter.
Yeah, and the new banquet manager is very nice, very personable,
Yeah.
very energetic person. And, it's good because I think as far as the funeral lunches business, we're like almost a perfect thing right there, because the facility we have now. But once the mansion's underway, then you have the wedding party dinners
Wedding
beforehand,
showers, you
and then the facility
Yes.
inside. It's going to really be
Yes.
a very competitive thing that we're going to be in a good position. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
the
gonna be
banquet
nice.
facility and the bar, the new bar, it's beautiful. And it's showing now. It's
Yeah,
starting
if
to
someone
show
hasn't gone
the
over to the
revenue.
golf course, if they don't golf or whatever, but, they have a driveway.
Alina's
there.
already booked almost all the way through Christmas with events.
Yeah, and someone should just drive in there and take a look at the outside of that mansion. It's really beautiful. It really sets it apart right there.
A lot of people didn't know the mansion was there.
Yeah, it's
Some
Perfect.
people didn't know it was there.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, we got rid of that garage that was next to it.
And I will say also.
Exactly.
I will say it also in 2020, we've had a year of changeover in the golf course. We have a new superintendent
Yes.
that is working there, and he's doing a great job in bringing the course back to a much enjoyable playing area. So that is going to be passed through in 2025 as well.
Okay, James, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
council.
great job you're doing.
Before he leaves, Mr. President.
Oh, wait a minute, before you leave, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mr. President, I think it would be a good time for you to bring up about your ball washers.
Well, I've been trying to get him to put some bull washers in, but, he's spending $1 million here, $1 million there, but he can't spend $300 for a bull washer, so I don't know.
We're on it.
Mr. President,
don't know.
I
President.
implore you to talk to your comrades up here about ball washers. We gave you, I think, 3, they were stolen, so we're willing to
Thanks, Bill.
put Bill in, no, we're going to put a detail in there if we get the ball washers. So I know they're 300 apiece. If you would like to ask your comrades here to put half a dozen ball washers in, I'm okay with that.
Well, it really is like the broken window theory. Like, once you start letting people destroy ball washers, I mean, what's next? You know what I mean? So,
The monuments.
yeah, exactly.
But I think the president should get his ball washers.
I'm on board.
It's a 2-year project, ladies and gentlemen. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
All right, thanks. Okay. John, I'm going to let you conclude anything else that we need to know, anything we anything we didn't go through. We have the capital improvement fund, trust fund, things like that. If you want to touch base on those, fine.
Certainly. So I'll touch base on the capital improvement fund. As everyone knows, we've been doing through the federal grant, as I mentioned earlier this year, earlier this evening. We've done a number of drainage projects throughout the township in 2024. We will be finalizing those projects in 2025. There's about 3 or 4 that are slated for construction the end of this year into next year, whether pending. But the drainage work that we have a 30-plus-year-old infrastructure, and when we rip these pipes out, it shows. So it certainly is something that through the coming years we're going to have to continue to address. And unfortunately, those come at a cost. So we'll do our best to budget accordingly, plan accordingly, but you will see drainage projects coming in the coming years.
Okay. Stormwater.
Stormwater.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to comment on?
I already commented about the road repaving project next year,
Okay,
$3 million.
I was just going to ask you about that.
Yep, yeah, we're going to do $3 million worth of road repaving. I'm not quite sure the mileage on it. Tim, you don't know off the top of your head, do you? Okay, yeah. I know that they're finalizing the list to put that out to bid for next year, but we will have some drainage work in there as well, because obviously once the road's open.
Yeah, they've done a lot of work to maintain streets that we didn't have the funding yet to do, but I think Washington Lane and Point Drive are getting to the end.
Yeah, so Washington Lane will be done in conjunction with Michael Drive's drainage work that's going to be done.
Yeah.
And then Point Drive is on the list for next year. So those 2 specific spots will be addressed in next year's in the two projects. We do have 2 bridges in Bensalem, ironically enough, if you call them bridges. One is the Hollandale Bridge, which is the
is the
bridge
kind of
closer
bridge,
to Byberry Road. That one has, our bridges get inspected on an annual basis by PennDOT as well as our inspectors. For a number of years, Tim and his crew have been doing patch jobs to these bridges, but they're getting to a state now where the patch jobs just aren't holding. They're undermining and everything else. So Hollandale Bridge, we have to get into a design phase and replacement phase for next year. That one's the easy one because there's another way out of Hollandale. The other one that is a little bit more problematic is Newport Mews Bridge, the entrance into Newport Mews. That one will be problematic in the instance that it's the only one way in, one way out. So both those projects will be put into design next year by the engineers and put out to bid and possibly constructed next year, depending on timing and everything like that.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions from our council members regarding any item or account in the budget proposed by the mayor? Not hearing any, I'm going to close this part of the presentation. I'm going to ask that we have a motion be put on the floor regarding the approval of the 2025 budget, the mayor's proposed budget.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick that just make people aware that we're just not having a budget meeting tonight, but we've had this budget since the 9th of November, I think it was sent out, and I appreciate that the mayor's staff, and especially John, has made himself accessible to our questions and answers, that we don't have to make it tonight everything we need to learn about the budget, because we've been studying this for a little bit now. I appreciate John's insight and willingness to work with us.
Okay, I'm asking for a motion to be put on the floor.
I'll put a motion on the floor to approve the 2025 budget.
We have a motion on the floor.
I'll make a second to approve the budget as presented. for
Second on the motion?
2025.
Is there any additional discussion on the motion? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All right, that's 4 positives and for the motion. Mr. Mayor, you have a budget.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to make a quick round. If anybody would like to add anything, Bill Samori, would you like to add anything this evening? John, you've basically have done a wonderful job. Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, please.
Yeah, first of all, thank you again for the teamwork that we've been doing here in Bensalem. We take this very serious, all of us. It's a community that we love, and our directors. I want to thank them for the great job they've done again, coming in under budget, making sure that we give the services that everybody out there in our community deserves. And couldn't do it without a teamwork. Everybody, I know my directors know I talk teams, and I think you guys do too, that it's important that we work together to get this job done for the people of Bensalem. That's what we were elected to do. That's what we do. And I am just humbled to work in this community for this many years, being born and raised here, and my whole life's been here, and to be able to work with people to get them the services that they deserve in council. I could not do this without all of you and the great job that you've done through this year from our last budget. And we'll continue to work as hard as we can to make sure we can give these services at the prices that we've been doing, to where we don't have to raise taxes. And enjoy, again, couldn't do it with all my council, and I really appreciate that. And I know Michelle's up there, and thank you, Michelle. Is it warm where you're at?
She's in Ohio. You think, how warm do you think that is?
Snowing.
It's warm,
Snowing in
right?
Ohio.
I know, you didn't come tonight because you knew we were going to be cold in here. So.
She said it's snowing.
But again, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership. Another great year, and I look forward to next year. Next year will be my 32nd year, and hopefully go into a couple more decades. So
At a minimum.
I want to wish everybody very happy holidays to everyone out there, and be safe, please. I know we have a great police force, but they can't make you be safe, so you got to do some of this on your own. And all of the directors, I know we're getting ready for some salt, I think, maybe Wednesday?
Hopefully not.
No? Okay, well, they even tell me we're going to get maybe some ice on Wednesday. But anyway, again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And look forward to getting ready again and go right back to work. I don't know
Thank
what
you,
our next
Mr. Mayor.
meeting is, but,
It's our pleasure to work with you.
well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, we'll go to our council members. Mr. Knowles, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit. I'd just like to thank everybody for their diligence in getting the budget together. We got a detailed budget. I already thanked John and being able to interact with us. It is really important, because I think with the golf course, like I was saying with Jimmy, I think he has the right people in place now, between Jimmy and Kelly Newhouse and the new banquet manager and the cook and the new bar person in charge of the bar. They're all good quality people. And we've had some turnover in our director heads, over the years, and we're thinking, oh, wow, we're in trouble now. This one left, that one left. And the mayor's been able to, through his leadership and council, we've been able to, fill those spots with people who are really doing a good job. So we have good department heads, including our new fire chief, who stepped into the fire, and has been handling stuff for us. So I know Mike Gallagher, our building maintenance guy, retired this year.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could put some money in training someone to work a thermostat. That'd probably be good for 2025.
His hands are freezing.
Yeah, it's freezing cold in here, It's like church when they're taking a second collection for the heater, but keep it nice and chilly. But hopefully we'll have some heat by next year, and I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving and everybody enjoys the upcoming holidays. We're doing our best to keep things the right way here in Bensalem. That's it, Mr. Kiselback.
Okay. Stacy, would you like to go?
Sure. I want to thank everybody here for the presentations and everything that you guys have said tonight and explained it for the public. Appreciate John's input and his answering of questions from one accountant to another. It's always nice to have somebody to know the numbers when you speak. That is one thing that one of my bosses have always told me. So know your numbers. So thank you very much for not having to, it in your head. So that always impresses me after having been all around the world, in a sense, working for some of the largest banks. Mr. Mayor, thank you for always making sure our township is one of the best in Bucks County, if not the best. You can always tell the difference when you go on our roads in the winter between us and our neighbors to the south and to the north. Last but not least, I'd like to say, this is hard for me. Thank you to everybody who reached out in the last week. My dad passed away last Tuesday. He was 91, and he loved this township. Sorry. Did not think I was going to get upset.
That's okay.
He loved Bensalem.
That's no problem.
One of the reasons why I love this township is because my parents instilling in us how great of a place it is to raise your children and be part of such a community. As big as it is still a small town. I have been in Ireland, and I have been in Italy, and I've been in Walt Disney World, and I've met people from Bensalem. And somehow you have 6 degrees of separation no matter where you go. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody who reached out to us, social media or what have you. I can still remember the stories of Mr. Van Zandt and his horse going to Kate's Bar, and the horse decided he would go home. My mom was a telephone operator, and I know I'm taking a little bit more time and you want to get home because it's cold, but she met my dad. It was a small town back then, and she used to listen to my father make a date with one girl and then cancel it and go out with another. And real quick, he was supposed to go out with my aunt the night that my parents went out on their first date. My aunt was sick. Needless to say, my aunt and my father always had a little bit of a tension there. But anyways, I just want to say thank you to everybody. He truly loved this town, and like I said, he's made it something special for us, and so did my mother.
Okay, thank you very much.
So thank you. Sorry to not-
No, thank you very much. Michelle, would you like to add something at this time?
First, somebody give Stacy a hug for me because I can't be there. I'm very, very proud to be part of the team that we have here. We're all on the same page. Our number one priority is health and public safety, and that's very clear in this budget. But we have a bonus where we have these great amenities and services that we can provide as well. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you to everyone in your respective departments for what you do every single day to make us proud and your dedication to your roles. Again, I'm so proud to be a part of this team with you. John, excellent as always. I can always give you a call. You're ahead of the game, so I definitely appreciate that, being a numbers person myself. This is a great budget, great presentation. I'm happy that we're not asking for an increase in taxes. Very happy that we're able to still contribute and give back to our community with the refund from parks. This is supporting the sustainment of our wonderful community. And just again, thank you all. Happy holidays, everybody. Be safe out there and enjoy. 'Tis the season.
All right, thank you. I'm just going to add, I want to thank the directors for a great job they do for us. They're very conscientious as far as being aware of the budget they're working with, and as well as providing the services to our residents. So we sincerely like to thank all of our directors and the job they've done for us in the past and will continue doing for us in the future. December 16th is our next meeting. Kyle, you want to say something? You had your hand. You want to add something to that?
Before we wrap up, I forgot to mention our tree lighting will be December 14th, Saturday at
important.
5 p.m. Yes, we are not doing a drive-through this year, so you will be able to park, have a traditional tree lighting. We'll have a little presentation. There'll be some activities for families and kids as well.
That is
So I just
great
want to
to
make sure
hear.
anybody welcome,
Thank
just
you.
stop on by. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have that covered. Be there exactly, when the tree lights says it's at 5 o'clock, it's exactly at 5 o'clock, not a second after. So make sure you get here early and get your position parking because it's usually overcrowded because everybody wants to be here. And it should be quite nice. December 16th is our next council meeting. And I'll conclude by saying, Mr. Mayor, thank you once again for giving us an easy budget to continue and go on and to approve for the residents of Bensalem this coming year. Okay, that's it. Good night.